We just got some new hardware announcements. It's true. Yeah, kind of out of nowhere. Valve just came out, dropped a bunch of stuff like literally 7 minutes ago. So like hit stream, ready to go. I look at chat, Jacob saying Steam just announced or Valve just announced a bunch of new hardware. I'm like, what? Come again? And here we are. So we're gonna look at it. Okay, we're gonna look at it. It's kind of insane. Okay, kind of insane. Let's just get right into it. Okay, I guess Jacob can just cut this whole opening section and put it in. Valve, the kings, they have revealed 3 new products. Okay, out of nowhere. What are these products? It is the Steam Frame, the Steam Machine, and the Steam Controller. Okay, what are these? What are these things that they've revealed? What they are is a headset. So it's a new VR headset, the Frame. As you can see here, they have a dedicated article on PC Gamer going through it, but it's a VR headset that is entirely dedicated. There, as you can see, they're keen to point out it is not the Valve Index 2. It is a separate product. It's a fundamental shift in the way that we look at VR. Rather than being a PC VR accessory to play your PC VR games, we see it as just as a new way to play your entire Steam library, whether it's VR or non-VR titles. So it's kind of like, as far as I can understand it, kind of like when you wear the Meta Quest or Apple Vision Pro, and then it has the big display in front of you. It's kind of like their Vision, and then it's an all-in-one device, it seems. Interesting. Continuing on, what else is there? The Steam Machine. This is the one that I'm particularly interested in. It is a cube. A cube, not to be confused with another product that, you know, nearly took the world by storm, the Ouya, which you guys might remember, which was also a little bitty cube. Yeah, a little piece of gaming history for you, Ouya. It is not that. This is built by Valve, powered by Steam OS, so same as the Steam Deck. The new Steam Machine is a compact gaming PC, one trying to make good on a promise Valve made long ago. With prototype Steam Machines heading out to reviewers back in 2013, us, being PC Gamer included, the company had grand plans of reinventing what constitutes a gaming PC around its new creation, a Linux-based operating system called SteamOS. And years on, and following a few failed partner launches that you can read all about in our retrospectives on their demises, the project was more or less doomed. By 2018, Valve pulled the plug. Or did it? Turns out Valve never stopped working on SteamOS, plugging away until it landed on the successful formula launched inside the Steam Deck in 2022. And following that success, Valve feels ready to take a second punt at a system with more firepower. Quote, we finally have all the software and hardware bits to make the original vision a reality, said Yazan Aldehayat, a Valve engineer working on the Steam Machine. They mentioned it's the right time because users are already making Steam Machines happen, putting a recovery image of SteamOS onto a range of devices using their Steam Deck while docked. Our customers kind of beat us to it. Here are the specs. An AMD Zen 4 CPU, 16 cores, 12 threads, 16 gigs of RAM, GPUs a semi-custom AMD RDNA 3, compute units 28, VRAM 8 gigs, storage comes in either 512 gigabytes or 2 terabytes, comes with Wi-Fi in the 6E bands, it has Bluetooth support, watch out Nintendo Switch, DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2, it's got 2 USB 3 ports, micro SD card slot for expansion, price is to be determined, it does support 10 gigabit per second USB-C ports, 3.2 Gen 2 ports, okay. Cool. So what he says is, quote, our benchmark has always been that it should have enough performance to play every game on Steam at 4K 60 when you do some sort of upscaling like FSR. That's bold. That's their goal, is every game on Steam should be playable at 4K 60 when using upscalers. Okay. I had a chance to play Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K with FSR enabled at Valve's HQ, and it ran pretty well on the plucky Steam machine. It was certainly playable. I feel like if you have to say it was playable, it's like, okay, with no significant frame drops during my brief time with it, but neither was it a totally fluid experience. And I enjoyed much smoother gameplay by switching to 1080p, even without any upscaling technology enabled. I'm trying to think, like, for me, and I think a lot of other people, the benefit of this would be to, like, you have your gaming PC, but you have this plugged into your TV in the living room, right? Or your bedroom. If you have like a TV in your bedroom, you plug it into that. So you can still play your PC games without having to hold a Steam Deck or something. And so you're not expecting like cutting edge performance. You're expecting a fluid experience. And maybe that's where this excels. Personally, like, I still believe that I still believe there is a market for like really, really premium products that can give you that like actual 4K 60 experience that's really fluid, you know, equivalent of like a 4070 or something in it. And it's more expensive, but it's in this compact and easy to engage with package. That I do think there's a market for that. Maybe not on the scale that makes it profitable, but maybe we'll get there. I can see why Valve is targeting setting its sight on 4K with the popularity of 4K TVs for our living rooms. That's likely to be the native resolution for a TV that the Steam machine sits in front of. I mean, I would say it's very, very likely. When I worked at Best Buy back in like 2018, 4K TVs were like already the standard. Like, I don't think we sold, other than like there was this little bitty, I think it was like an 18-inch TV. Like, it was tiny. And it was mainly, we sold it to people who were living in RVs or wanted a TV for their RV that they would attach to like the wall of the RV. Other than that, like no one would ever buy that, because like literally a monitor was a better value and had higher resolution and stuff. But that was like the only 1080p TV we sold. And that was 2018. And now 7 years going on 8 years later, yeah, I mean, it's, I think 4K is the standard, certainly. So makes sense why they're targeting it. Certainly. It's why I think it's fair for a lot of people to be a little frustrated that, for example, so many consoles now are like struggling to maintain 1440p when like the TV tech has certainly outgrown it. The Steam machine is many times faster than the Steam Deck, over 6 times faster according to Valve, though the older handheld isn't the best point of comparison with more modern, discrete components in the Steam machine. Compared to a modern gaming PC, the Steam machine is fairly underpowered, quite literally, as it only packs a 200-watt power supply, a fraction of the size of most modern desktop gaming PCs. Yeah, certainly a fraction. I mean, it's more like, it reminds me of like a gaming laptop. Gaming laptops often have like up to 300 watts of power. Like it's kind of peaks out at that point. So yeah, it's certainly a little fella. Just a little fella. SteamOS will also work to Valve's benefit for performance. In my colleague's comparative test with the Lenovo Legion Go S using SteamOS, saw an increase of as much as 32% in Cyberpunk 2077 compared to Windows 11. While improvements may be less pronounced on more powerful hardware, Valve's own OS should reduce overheads and allow for higher frames per second than comparable kits using Windows, which, can we just agree that's insane? Using SteamOS leads to 32% improved performance over Windows. Like, what are we doing? Satya, figure it out. What are we doing? What are we doing? Valve has also confirmed a few details about the Steam machine's GPU. It has 28 compute units hewn from the RDNA 3 architecture and a clock speed of around 2.4 to 2.5 gigahertz. It has a TDP of around 110 to 130 watts, and it's derivative of the Navi 33 GPU used across much of the mid to low end Radeon 7000 series. It's a semi-custom GPU. That's nothing new for AMD. The company provides similar solutions for the Steam Deck, Xbox, PlayStation, various handheld gaming PCs. How much needs to be changed to earn that semi-custom title varies. These chips run for the gamut from rebadge to redesign. That does mean this GPU might not be an exact match for anything currently offered in the Radeon 7000 series, though being derived from Navi 33 gives us a pretty good idea of where it should land. There's no desktop graphics card that's a close match for the Steam machine. The RX 7400 has the same number of CUs, but a lower clock speed and much lower power draw. The RX 7600 has a higher clock speed, more CUs, and a higher power draw. If you were to increase the clock speed of the RX 7400, the power draw would increase and land you roughly in line with the Steam machine. But there could be a little bit more to it than that. So overall, I mean, it seems like it's just not really clear. The original Steam machines look like set-top boxes intended to sit below your TV. Thankfully, Valve has taken the new Steam machine in a new direction. A small black box might not be the most exciting design on the planet, but thankfully, be thankful it's not an eyesore like the PS5. Honest question, do people consider the PS5 an eyesore? I consider it clunky and like kind of difficult to put anywhere because it's so weirdly shaped. But isn't an eyesore? Goofy's maybe a good word, soft chips. I feel like that's a good way to describe it. It's goofy. Yeah, it's goofy. I appreciated that it was like bold when they announced it. I remember seeing like, I don't remember if they announced the Xbox first or the PlayStation first, but I remember comparing the two and just being like, the Xbox it's a box, you know, it's a box for sure. And then the PlayStation is this really bizarrely shaped, warped thing, which coming off of the PS4 and PS4 Pro, which were like pretty clean and boxy, it was very, very different. Personally, I like the design of the Xbox Series X more. I just like the way it looks, and I just like it. I like it. But I'm not sure if I would call the PlayStation 5 an eyesore, but I guess to each their own. Stefan, thank you for the super chat. Long time no super chat. You've been on a roll lately. Keep up the good work. Peace out. Thank you, my friend. Glad to have you here. And Super Donut, I'll catch up on the others too, guys. Is this going to compete with other consoles like PS5 and Switch 2? I don't think so, because it seems like it's just a different beast. But maybe, well, I guess maybe they'll get into it, but if it's targeting 4K 60, you know, it might be in the same family as like an Xbox Series S or a little higher tier Series S, something like that, roughly in that ballpark of performance, but in this form factor, and it can play all of your Steam games. That makes it a little bit more compelling. Like this, I think really should terrify, like, you know, Xbox over the Series S. I mean, it's not like they were selling any to begin with, but this, I think, pretty much completely makes the Series S obsolete, because I mean, you could get the Steam library. I mean, it's like crazy. Not even on the same ballpark. The Dream Manifester, thank you for the 279. New Steam hardware announced. Yes, indeed. And Jack, thank you for that 16-month re-up. Steam frame, Steam machine, Steam controller. Hells yeah. Dragon Killer also, real quick, thank you for the resub. Hey, Luke, glad to be able to catch you live again. First, you were sick, and I cannot handle listening to someone long while they are sick. Then I got sick, and I finally got over it. How have you been? I'm doing much, much better. My voice is still like a little funky, but much, much better. My wife now has the sickness, but she hasn't lost her voice. She hasn't. I'm starting to suspect maybe it was like a variant of COVID or something, because everybody we know has gotten it and been going through it. A bunch of people have like lost their voices, lost their senses of smell and taste and stuff. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something totally separate and different, but it hit us hard. Hit us like a bundle of bricks. Yeah, it was crazy. Amazingly though, my kids, totally fine. Lockie got like a little stuffy nose. Totally fine. Ori's chilling. You know, for them, they're like, I don't know, suck it up, Dad. Like, for them, it just did not affect them, which is crazy. Valve engineer Jeff Mucha, I don't know, says the design came out of thermal efficiency, acoustics, and making sure it would fit within 6-inch shelving unit. The fact it ended up as a cube, Valve's favorite shape, came later. When we started putting a thermal architecture together that was the most efficient for performance, we found that, wow, this is really close to a cube. And so we're like, okay, so it's so cute, close to a cube. Why don't we really try to make it an actual cube? And they did it. I do like the cube. I'm gonna be real. Maybe this is just me being a kind of a boomer at heart, but I there's something so clean about it, you know? I really like clean, simple design. I don't need it to have like wings. I don't need it to have feathers. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this, you know? They continue. So we had to be really careful about every millimeter inside to make sure that we got proportions to look like a cube. It's smaller than it looks, but it packs a lot in. You remove the outer casing for a demonstration and the internal components, take advantage of every square inch of it. The power supply sits down at the bottom with the front and rear IO on each side. I mean, that's the whole thing. Look at that. That's crazy. Yeah, there's the fan. These are the ports on the back of it. It is packed in there, dude. We just wanted something that is really compact and really powerful that can easily fit in your living room. And that actually turned out to be more of a challenge than we thought, because people love to kind of cram their devices in the corner of their room and inside a cabinet. So one, it needed to fit. Two, it needed to have great airflow. And one of the things that were actually really important to us is we wanted to use a single fan. It's actually a custom design fan. We iterated a lot on a ton of blade geometries, but this is what they settled on. I will say, having worked at Best Buy, people would come in all the time and they're like, I just bought a brand new console. I bought a PS4 Pro and it is overheating constantly. It turns itself off. It gets so hot. And I'm not joking, like 85% of the time you ask them, is it in your media center under your TV? Yeah. Does your media center have a door? Yeah. How did you know that? Is the door closed when you're playing games? And then a weird look would overcome them. And for a brief moment, it looks as though they're thinking, and they realize that they've basically just created a small oven to cook their consoles, and they get embarrassed and they say, no, of course I open it. Closing it would be stupid. And you see them kind of look off, realizing that they are in fact stupid. Happen constantly. Anyway, continuing, this is actually a custom design fan. I read that one. The design reminds me of a server rack, which are often meticulously designed to ensure a steady flow of air over hot components. I'm told Valve took inspiration from here too, though what stands out most of all is how little I can hear the steam machine while it's running. We're stood around the steam machine discussing it while it sits on Cyberpunk's 2077 title screen, and I can't make it out. There are 4 antennae on the steam machine, 2 on the back, 2 on the front. The rear-facing antenna is responsible for the Wi-Fi 6E connectivity. 1 in the front is for Bluetooth. Separated from the Wi-Fi are more consistent performance, and others for connecting up to 4 Steam controllers, replacing the controllers included puck. That's crazy. Oh, are they allowing you to replace? Oh, that's cool. This is actually kind of cool. The faceplate is removable, mainly for removing dust that builds up over time, though Valve is considering how to best offer some level of customization here. It has a few prototype plates in its office, a wood effect one, TFT, or Team Fortress 2 one, and one including an e-ink display for monitoring key metrics. Dude, that's cool. That's unironically cool. I like this. So if they end up selling this, it is an e-ink display where on the front of it, you could have it display GPU temps, fan speeds. You could have it display the time of day. So it could like actually have just even a clock or the weather in your area. Like, that's pretty freaking cool. If they sold this, I mean, I'm telling you guys, I don't know how much they're going to charge for this. Maybe they say later in the article. But if they charge, I don't know, $400 or $500 for the Steam machine, and then it's like even $100 upgrade for this, I think people still buy it. I think so. That's genuinely really cool. That's cute. That's pretty cool. The e-ink display. Please make that a thing. Please. Okay, so for now, Valve doesn't seem to have a definitive plan for customization options. It does have the integrated light strip running above the front I/O. This can be adjusted to display whichever color you want, or moreover, act as a visual cue of what the Steam machine is up to. It can display how far a game is downloaded, progressed, alert you to messages, and so on. If you don't like it, you can just turn it off. So you can even set it up to like you're downloading a game and then this charges up and fills up as it's downloading. So you could start downloading, switch to a TV show or something while this sits on your media center, and you could see when it's downloaded the game based on the LED progress bar. That's just cool. That's clever. I love practical stuff like that. You're such a boomer. I know. Look at the lights. But come on, that's pretty cool. Let's see. It's a dead front design, meaning that when you turn it off, you literally can't see that it exists. The core parts that we're considering to be upgradable would be the M.2 storage as well as the RAM, which is a bit harder. I mean, yeah, adding customizable M.2 SSD. Look at that. Yeah, it's just on the bottom. You just unscrew it, you swap it out. You can do a full-size one or the mini. But yeah, that's great. Because the micro SD cards are like, they're good for some stuff. They're very, very, very bad for others. Like the micro SD cards, it's cheap. You can get a lot of storage very easily, but the read speeds start to plummet after a sustained draw on them. So having an NVMe SSD upgraded would be very, very nice. Let's see. So it supports the standard 2280 drive with included standoff, though installing one would require removing the existing 2230 drive and cloning, starting fresh. Okay, hopefully they can streamline that. The easier way to expand the Steam Machine storage is to use a micro SD card. It supports SDXC cards, which are typically available up to 2 terabytes and are fairly affordable. They're confident the game should boot and run just fine from a micro SD card. though I'd assume you'll want reasonably a speedy one of 100 megabytes per second for the best performance. The Steam Machine has 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. It uses SODIMM memory, which is most often found on gaming laptops and is replaceable. However, Valve has warned me that replacing the memory is a bit more involved compared to the SSD. I believe replacing the RAM would require removing the outer casing and the heatsink from the motherboard, though understandably, no one fancied ripping apart their precious display models during my visit, and we were told to leave our screwdrivers at the door, so I can't say for sure. The outer casting is removed via 4 screws on the feet and 2 screws on the rear, and the core slides out, but beyond that, it's anyone's guess. That makes sense. This is what it looks like when you're actually running it. Very, very reminiscent of the Steam Deck. Poor soul has put 230 hours into Destiny 2. Can't get those back. Can't get those back. Tell you what. It's okay. I'm sure Destiny 2 is very, very good years ago. Now, less so, but anyway. We knew that our customers love the SteamOS experience with Steam Deck, and we just want to give them the same convenience in a different form factor, which I've been hoping for personally. And like, I got the Steam Deck at launch, and it was okay. Like, I'm not going to be a revisionist, you know, whatever, where like everything was great and fine and dandy. When it first launched, it was clunky. Like, games didn't run that great. The software wasn't that fluid. You would try to download something and then it would just randomly stop. And like the wrapper to actually run games wasn't that efficient, so performance wasn't great. But then I went away and I played on my ROG Ally for a while. I came back like 6 months or 10 months or whatever it was later, and they had made so many improvements to the Steam OS and to everything just in the package. It was night and day. Like, seriously, Steam Deck is now, as far as I'm concerned, it is the completion and the fulfillment of that vision. They did a fantastic job with it. And knowing that they can take those improvements and just bring them to this machine as well is really, really appealing, really encouraging. We knew that our customers, I just read that, they'll find no surprise when it comes to Steam Machine. It's the same experience, menus and all, that the Steam Machine shouldn't require a verification program like the Steam Decks or newly announced Steam Frame, which exists to ease gamers into what's possible on the quirkier hardware and what's not. The more powerful desktop PC that is the Steam Machine shouldn't be so picky. Part of that is Proton, the compatibility layer that allows games developed for Windows to run on Linux. Proton's compatibility is solid these days. The kinks have largely been ironed out, and the concept has been tested thoroughly with the Steam Deck already. There are simply fewer unknowns. Proton is really the secret sauce, right? That's made this possible. For the last 10 years, we've been working on building the compatibility layer to make it so that devs have less work to do to support this device. They've done a great job of it. Because of this, most games should work without a hitch. There are still some anti-cheat solutions that do not run on Linux. Games like Battlefield 6 and Fortnite, that wasn't such an issue with the Steam Deck, portable and underpowered as it is, but you might want your desktop or living room PC to play these games. So it's worth considering how much these big multiplayer games mean to you. That is like the one big thing that they struggle with, are those anti-cheats. It will be available in the same regions where the Steam Deck currently are available, including those where Komodo is the official distributor. That means it's available in the US, Canada, UK, Germany, France, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. No word on pricing, it seems, but that is what we're looking like over there. And beyond that, what else do they have? Well, beyond that, they also have the Steam controller, which is the other device that's pairing with the headset and with the Steam Machine. It is the Steam controller, as you can see here, very much inspired by the Steam Deck as well. Chunky as all get out, 35 hours of charge, releases next year, HD haptics, 2 trackpads, 4 rear grip buttons, Bluetooth 2.4 gigahertz, connectivity. Oh baby. Oh yeah, I love these things. I love the paddle buttons on the back. I love that. Okay. Then it's got the little charging pad, so you can, I guess technically wirelessly charge. You just set it on the charger. You don't need to manually plug it in, even though the charger is plugged in, but whatever. And I personally like this a lot more than the old school, whatever they called this, Steam controller. But yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. So there you go. There you go. I think this could be another easy slam dunk for them. Like, I think this could easily be a slam dunk for them. I think at least from what I understand, it sounds like it's pretty much like a Series S competitor in terms of power, but it's a tighter form factor and it will just support all of your Steam library. And as a result of that, you can also get it running like Xbox Game Pass. So all of those Game Pass games on PC, you'll be able to get access to here. So I think like at this point, when this comes out, I think the Series S is like kind of done for at that point. Pricing, of course, is still to be disclosed. It will be available to buy at some point next year. Still no pricing disclosed either. But I mean, I'm assuming it's probably in that like $400-$500 range would be my guess. And if it's in that range, I think it starts certainly to compete with the Series S. If they can get it even cheaper, that'd be crazy. That'd be absolutely insane. I don't know. Because if it's able to outperform the Series S, then I think, you know, it being a little pricier could work. If it comes out and it's like $1,000, obviously, like, I don't think that works. I think then you're just going to go buy and build like a custom mini PC and just put that next to your TV. But if it's like $400 or like $350 or something, then I think these things fly off the shelves. You'll see a lot of people buying them. I know I'd put it up, like hook up a TV in the bedroom, put it there. You can just pick up your Steam games where you left off. One of the other super powerful things for the Steam Deck specifically that I've run into and other people have done too is the GeForce Now support. And that's something you could easily do with this. So even if it's not capable of rendering at 4K 60, if you have good internet, you could hook this up to your TV and then have one package to play your Steam games. And then for really high fidelity stuff, you could run it through GeForce Now. Like, there's definitely options. Some TVs support GeForce Now, don't get me wrong, but certainly a less fluid package than a dedicated gaming device. If it's outperforming for a close enough price, it could could be sold a lot. But if many people might not consider it because it's not a black box you plug into your TV. I mean, my understanding is that the goal is for it to be the black box you plug into your TV and that it just works. Like the reason why the Steam Deck is so appealing over like a Legion Go or obviously they have the Steam OS variant, but the reason why it's more appealing than like an ROG Ally, for example, is because the ROG Ally is just running Windows. Like, it's a weirdly shaped gaming laptop, basically. And that's very nice for some people because, like, oh, I want the Ubisoft launcher. You just swipe up from the bottom to get the Windows tray, and then you click on the Uplay launcher and you boot up the game from there on your little handheld device. And it works great in that regard. You suffer performance degradation as a result of that, and it's also less intuitive. The updates are way more of a hassle, and so there's drawbacks. On the Steam Deck, however, on the flip side, it's just literally a handheld device. You press the power button, it has your library, you click on the game you want to play, and you play it. Like, it just works, right? It just works. What GPU can you compare it with? Well, like they said, there's not really a one-to-one. It's a semi-custom GPU, so it's something in the line of the Radeon 7000 series on the lower end, but there's not really a one-to-one comparison. There's just not. So we don't know. But this is what the headset looks like, the controller, and then the device itself. Yeah, I mean, I think that this, assuming the price is not insane, this could be a slam dunk. And the Steam Deck, again, like, the Steam Deck is not an egregiously priced product either. Like, this product starts at $400 and is a handheld gaming device that like is out competing a lot of the other handhelds in the market. So the Steam Deck is way cheaper than I would have pegged it coming in from, especially when you compare it to some of the other devices that, like, you know, Microsoft partners with ROG and theirs are significantly more expensive on the premium tier. So they might come in and sit it at like $400-$500. I think that could be a decent spot where PC gamers would be happy checking that out for the convenience factor. Anything more than that, I think you start to lose people, but at least for the power as we understand it. But if they continue to rev it up and it does get to the point where it can run like a 4K 60 game like smoothly with upscaling, but it can run it smoothly, then I think, you know, you might have a more compelling argument. Is the box looking big enough for upgradability? Like they said, the box will have the ability to upgrade the NVMe SSD and then potentially also the RAM, but you'll have to kind of take the whole thing apart to replace the RAM. But it's not one of those things where like, oh, I'll just swap out the GPU. That's not how that works. How many fires do you think Phil Spencer is putting out right now? It says, I can't read. Anti-Parzival with 6 months. Thank you. How many fires do you think he's putting out because of this? This could be the living room PC you talked about. Well, it certainly seems to be hitting the market like a year to year and a half before the Xbox One is, because the whole point is that the next gen Xbox is supposed to be kind of this. It's supposed to be a hybrid of a console and a PC, and this is just this is that. So I'm sure he's sweating bullets right now, because if everybody gets pretty deep into the Valve ecosystem, there's less reason to swap it up and go with the Xbox One besides just raw power. Now, if Xbox is able to come out with like an $800 console that is basically this, but it's got the equivalent power of like a 4080 or something, then we're talking. Then I think people will buy it and are very, very interested. Most likely it's closer to like $1,200 though. And so I'm sure he's sweating. I'm sure he's sweating a little bit, but when you've been sweating nonstop for 3 years because everything's going poorly, I'm sure you just get used to it. So for him, it's probably, it's probably not a big deal. Eli 5, why does Steam struggle with the anti-cheat games? The 53 nice thing for the 7. My understanding is that because Linux is a separate operating system from Windows, and these anti-cheat systems, they want to get down as deep into the foundations of the operating system as they can to track activities and make sure you're not using cheats that go very, very deep into the OS. The anti-cheats, if they're not built with support for Linux, if they're not built for support for this other operating system, they just don't really work. And so when you have a Steam machine like this and it's running Steam OS, and then it's running a layer of software that converts the Windows software down into something Linux can handle, including trying to convert the anti-cheat into something Linux can handle, it just doesn't work, because the anti-cheat's like, nope, you can't mess with me, you can't do that, and it freaks out. So it just, unless the anti-cheat was developed and built out specifically for Steam OS, it's just not really gonna work. It's not going to work. Easy Anti-Cheat has support for Linux. Devs just don't bother. Well, I mean, I'm sure comparatively, it's a very, very small number of people that are trying to play Battlefield 6 on Linux. This could change it, because it's basically a console. This could push them to put more effort into it. But right now, like, how many people are going to try to grind out Battlefield 6 on a Steam Deck? Like, probably not a ton, which is part of the reason they can do it. But the alternative would be to like get an ROG Ally. Maybe that's what they're going to tell you. It's like, if you really want to play those games on the go, get a Windows based handheld, go with an ROG Ally, which fair. If it's part of the consideration when you're shopping for these types of products. It's like, there's certain pros and cons of the streamlined closed ecosystem, and there's disadvantages to it as well. And maybe for your particular use case and the games you play, it just makes more sense to go with the Windows-based device. He took my thing!